Okay, so what we're going to do is the front brakes on this. This is a 2001 S-10. So before I lift it off the ground, I want to break these nuts loose so I don't have to struggle. They got these little dust caps. And they have internal threads on here. So, I guess they're more for decoration. Okay. So that's what happens when you have them installed at your local tire store. So if you're on the road and you got a flat tire, good luck. This would be the same thing. Just need to break these loose. Lift them up. So I have the ability to do it. Okay, so I'm going to jack it up right here in the center. There, on that metal bracket, and not on this plastic, shim up plastic, broken plastic problems. So let me jack it up. So we're going to put one jack stand right over here, under the control arm, over here, and then we'll do the same thing on this side, and we'll just put them right over here. And here's the second one. It's just on this side. Okay, now we have to slowly lower the jack down. Okay, and you can see that they sit there. So what I'll just do is leave the jack right here, is I'm going to give it a wiggle test. And that is for us people who get older. Don't want this thing to fall on them. Alright, so there's with the wheel taken off. Now let's just turn it in the direction that gives us the biggest access. So we're going to. Alright, so here's the calipers. This happens to be a 11/16. So remember, counterclockwise. That's pretty tight. Okay, once we get going, it's easy. Let's do the bottom one. Okay, that's one. Okay, that's number two. I just pushed the piston cylinder away from the first disc brake pad, and then now it just comes real easy. And here's what I did. Just push that back just a touch. So we'll just let this sit here because I don't want to let it dangle brake lines because I don't want to damage it. Okay, now here is one pad. Right here, and see, it still has a little life in it here, but it's getting there. Okay, and the other side is the same. Just slips right out, and see, that one is, it's getting to the notice area. Okay, so what I want to do is take the bracket off so I can take the rotor off. So it's the same thing, it's 2 bolts. This has to be 11/16. Whenever I take this off, it's counterclockwise. Okay, we'll almost take that one off. This one, can't quite get the socket on, so we'll have to use a box wrench. Okay, once we break it loose, we're all set. Here's the top bolt. We broke it loose. As you can see, the bracket is getting ready to fall off. Okay, that's the top one. And then we'll just take off the bottom one. Do that. And then here's our rotor. Okay, it's just stuck on here. Alright, so it's just all rusted, as you can see. So we'll just put some WD-40 on here, and we'll go over to the other side and just let this sit for a while. Okay, so let's take the calipers off on the other side. Remember, counterclockwise. Hey, somebody put these on. Okay, there's the lower one. Now let's get the top one. There's the top bolt. There's the bottom one. Get in between the pad and the rotor and just push it off to the side. So now I can see the piston, so now I just put the screwdriver between the piston and the brake pad, move it apart. And this is what I did. I just put a screwdriver between here and the piston and just gently pushed it. Pushing those pistons down relieves all the pressure, and I'm able to take it off. And then the pads come off real easy, no big deal. And that's it. Now I need 2 more bolts to take the bracket off so I can take the rotor off. And notice on this side I sprayed it so that the rotor is already falling off. So let's take the bottom bolt off. Give that a little jerk. It comes straight off. But up here on the top, I have the same problem again. And leave us enough room to put a socket on. So we'll have to use this box wrench. Piece of rope out of the way. And that breaks loose. Okay, there's the top one. And take the bottom one off. And here comes the bracket, just like that. In this particular case, the rotor just falls right off. But you'll see where it gets all super rusty right in here. That causes a problem. And sometimes you just take a hammer and hit in these areas here, and it'll just shock it and loosen it up for you. Just before we put all these pads on, we have to put the clips on. They gave us new clips, just like that. So what we'll do, make it even easier, here I did this one, let's just follow as an example of how the original ones are. That way you don't have to guess. Okay, so they sort of have a little clip there. Snap it on. There you go. Let's do another one. Same type of concept. There's that one. There. So now we have two of them done. Well, let's just do the other one. Okay, so now these are all ready to be installed. These rotors are not grooved. There's hardly any lip here at all. So we're going to reuse these. Normally I would just buy brand new rotors. But since the person who owns this vehicle said that they put rotors on last time, and I'm just going to clean them off a little bit. Get all the grease off of them. And that's it. Okay. The first thing we have to do is put the bracket back on. I'll just hit a little oil on there just to make it a little easier for me. So here's the upper one. And here's the lower bolt for the bracket. Alright, so this is, once again, 11/16. Then tighten it. It's called counterclockwise. I mean, clockwise. We're going clockwise direction. And we're stuck again because we don't have enough room to use a socket, so we will have to use this open end, this box wrench here to tighten it up. Alright, the next thing, we want to push these pistons back, but first thing, let it hang there for a second. I want to come over here and look at the master cylinder, and we'll see here, it's up pretty high. It's almost at the max level here. It's a little bit down, so I'll just leave the cap off just slightly, and I'm going to push the cylinders. When we push the cylinders, we're going to come back over here and look and see how much fluid came back into the master cylinder tank. Okay, this being a dual piston, just gently squeeze together, and not to damage the rubber, but just to clear it all the way. And we'll do the second one. We'll go slow because the fluid has to go through the brake line all the way back up. Let it go nice, and you come back to this one. Nice and easy. Okay, that takes care of that. So we'll just let that dangle there for a second. Now that we squeeze the two pistons in, you'll notice that the fluid came up just a little bit more. So that means all the fluid that was in the piston by the calipers came up through the brake line and came back into the master cylinder tank here. I just use a little brake grease here. Don't need too much. Just put some just all the way around here. And then I'll use some of this just put it on, come on, right where the pistons are. And then I will put these brakes on. So they go with the curvature of the wheel, just like this, and it just slips in on the bottom, comes over here, does the same, just slips right in. Nothing to it, nothing complicated. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Remember, the pads go toward the rotors. One goes in one slot, and the other goes in the other one. Okay, so now they're tight. Both of them are right in. And you can see the rotor moving, and these are your new pads. So the next thing is to take the caliper itself and put it right over the top. Make sure the boots are all lined up, and then what we will do is we'll just clean these. Now, in areas where they had really bad weather with salt and everything else, you may have to do a little better job, but since this is California, we don't have that kind of problem. That's why we pay so much money to live out here. So here's the top one, and then we'll do the same thing with the bottom. Just goes right in. Okay, so caliper's all ready to go. Now we just have to go and do the other side. Alright, so these rotors, normally I would replace these, but these are, there's absolutely nothing wrong. There's no grooves, there's hardly any little groove here at the edge. So we're going to use these same rotors, but I just want to take off all the excess grease or whatever, in case we accidentally touched it. We'll do the other side. Okay, so I just happen to use regular gasoline. That seems to have worked for me for many years. Alright, now we'll just put the brackets on. I'll just put some bolts on here. Let me put some oil on the bolt, makes it easier. Here's the bracket. And then we'll do the bottom one. Once again, this is 11/16. And once again, we can't get the socket past the control arm, so I'll have to use this box wrench. Okay, that tightens that all up. Brakes on themselves, we have the little clips on already. I use this brake grease just up on the tops. Just put a little bit all over. Don't need a lot. Don't get it on the pads. Then I'll use this disc brake so it stops the squealing. I just put it on where the pistons will sit. Okay, so next thing is just put one in. There it is. That's how it goes. Follow the rotor, and it just slips right in here on the bottom, and just same thing with the top, pushes right in just like that, nothing to it. And same thing with the bottom, I mean with the inside one. There you go. Okay, see? So it just fits right in there, just like the front one. And you'll see that now you got the rotor turning between the two pads itself. Next thing is we need to push back these cylinders right here. So some people use a clamp. I just use these big pair of pliers, and I just go real slow. All the way till it comes to the end. Then I'll go do the other one, nice and slow. And once you get it started, let's just go all the way back. So you gotta remember, the fluid's coming from these pistons going back up to that line, and then it's going to go right back into the master cylinder. Okay, now that those are done, you can just slowly put those right over the top. Move the rubbers out of the way. And it fits right in place. Make sure the boots are all lined up. Ready to go. Okay. Okay, then we just have 2 more bolts to put in here. I would clean all these up, especially if you live in cold climate with salt or whatever, because it might be all corroded. But out here they're not, so I just lube them all up. Make sure the boots are nice and done, all lined up here. There's the bottom one, there's the top one, clockwise to tighten. Okay, so that takes care of that. Alright, here we are once again looking at the master cylinder. You see it got even a little higher. So let's go down and do I'm going to bleed the driver's side brake. Okay, so here's the little rubber cap. We'll take that off. Okay, so now I don't know how people do this without 2 people, so I always have somebody do it. So pump the brakes a couple times. Okay, now just hold it all the way down. What I'm going to do is just loosen. Okay, you see clear fluid coming? That means there's no air there. Okay, tighten that up. Wipe all this stuff clean. Now let me go over to the other side. Okay, turn the wheel the other way. Okay, so here is the little rubber dust cap. Okay, pump the brakes. So here's what we're going to do. Alright, now hold them all the way down. If you want, you can put a rag there. And you'll see clear fluid coming. No bubbles, no nothing. That's where you know it's all set. So then you tighten it back up and you're done. That's how you bleed the brakes. Okay, now that we bled all the brakes, everything else, we don't need any more fluid. But if you did need fluid, it tells you right here, .3. So you just go to your local auto parts store and get some. But we don't need any, so we're good to go. Now let's put the tires back on and we're done. Okay, so what I always do for myself is I always put a little oil on these studs here, just in case I ever have to take this back off, or if you ever get stuck on the road someplace. I don't know how you're going to get them off, especially if the tires start putting on. also on because we have to lower the truck so the tire hits the concrete, that way we can tighten it up better. Okay, here's the driver's side. A little oil on the studs for me. Remember to catch the metal crossbar, not the plastic. Okay, these have these little plastic decorative. Be careful not to put them out too tight, you just break them. Okay, and that's it.